When there is a war that accompanies this loss, there comes psychological harm to the people. And with that comes fear, displacement, a need for security, acceptance, and survival, both physical and mental. As a conflict escalates and there's political upheaval, your own national identity is challenged. There's death, destruction of your city, your friends, your home, your family. The works of art that represent your national identity are being removed from your country to be sold to collectors and institutions, and it seems there's nothing you can do. It seems as though everything is being ripped from you. The reason for looting has many faces, of course. Some call it thievery, betrayal of the country. Others call it greed. Still others maintain it is for survival. One local in Baghdad admitted he had joined the museum looting because he had no food for his family. He was well educated and dedicated to his country and his family, but this time cultural heritage was not the priority. Here are some of the looted artifacts. This is a sacred vase of Warqa, one of the most precious of all the treasures that was taken. It was ripped off the display case, and this base that you see at the bottom was left on the display case, and the vase was hauled away. This vase is 3 feet tall. It weighs 600 pounds. It's not something you can just lift up and carry out of the museum inconspicuously. I want to tell you a little bit about the vase so you can appreciate it. I don't want your eyes to glaze over, but I just want you to see this. It's a narrative vase in that it tells a story. And this is one of the first narrative pieces that was ever found. And this narrative at the bottom register, you see animals and there's vegetation and they're in profile and they seem to be moving along. And the next band continues with nude males carrying bowls of fruit and grain and other items that are relevant to Inanna, their goddess. The procession ends at the top at the temple where they're offering their goods to Inanna, and this time it's a full scene. They're not moving anymore, it's a full scene. And so, and there's a figure that stands behind Inanna and probably a priest. So, this is a picture of before and after. So you can get a sense of what the looting did to these objects. They weren't careful. You know, they just wanted to get them out of the museum. This is the Warqa mask, and it's the oldest known naturalistic sculpture of a human face, circa 3100 BCE. That's a long time ago. And the marble on the back is flat, and the eyebrows would have had lapis lazuli inlaid. The eyes would have been shell stones and obsidian. And you can also see small drilled holes in the head where a sheet of either gold or gold or copper would have been placed for the hair, and it would have been stylized. Of course, those things are lost by now, but it's 8 inches tall, so it's life size. It's beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful. All right, the next one is the Sepki statue. And this is the first example of the lost wax art. And they use this in bronze, the lost wax art. It's a technique of casting bronze, and that has mostly been lost to the world, this technique. And so this is a fine example of that. And this was made in 2250 BCE. The next one is a beautiful plaque of a lioness attacking a Nubian, and you can see how stylized the plaque is, all this ornamentation. And if you look at it, someone suggested that instead of the lioness attacking the Nubian, perhaps the Nubian, with his arched back and his head back and his face is pretty peaceful, may have been an offering of himself to this lioness, symbolically. Okay, this is another example of a cylinder seal, which was mentioned before. These seals were very important in that day. They didn't have Scotch tape. They didn't have adhesive as such. They didn't have staplers. And so in order to protect the items that they were transferring one to another, or secret papers, they would use the wax, wax or clay, and roll the seal across it. And that would be, like she said, their stamp. And if it was broken, the person knew that someone had gotten into that document. So, all right, and then this is gorgeous. I wish I could see this in person. This is the Golden Harp of Ur. And this was in the Baghdad Museum. And it was made about 2600 to 2500 BCE. It predates the construction of the pyramids at Giza. So you can kind of get a reference point there when this was made. It's very stylized, very beautiful. It's wood, and the bull's head is gold. All right, and this is the frontal view, so you can get a better idea. And then this is an incised pot from Tel Hassuna. This was a 6th century pot, and or 6th millennial pot, sorry. It predates the wheel by at least 1,500 years. So these things aren't just a pot, or just a mask, or just a harp. They're irreplaceable. They're the soul of the nation. They all belong to one another. That's why we put them in museums, so that they can be protected and treasured, so people can come and appreciate and study and examine them and feel part of that heritage. Even if you're not an Iraqi, if you would visit this museum, you would feel that. If you go to the Oriental Institute in Chicago and see the great reliefs and the different artifacts that are there, you feel something there. You can't help but look at art and feel something.